we went from having about 30 people per cohort for an entire year to once we started working with you guys, we were able to onboard 13 agents in a single month into our coaching program. And that is incredible. With all of the systems we have, with all the scripts you've given us, with all the support on the day to day, it's really transformed a product that we already had existing, and a system that we didn't have. So yeah, it's been really wonderful to see the overnight change once we rolled out with everything.
I mean that's great. So before coming into the system, you mentioned the word cohort. So you were already working with about 30 agents with Heather in your coaching program, and then
Exactly.
yeah, do you want to sort of walk me through how long you guys have been running this coaching program for,
Of
and
course.
when you guys initially got the start into coaching?
Yeah, so we launched our program initially in November of 2023. And at that time, it was a much shorter program, and it was minuscule in relation to what it is today. Over time, we've taken a lot of our feedback from the agents who've coached with us, and we have built on it. We've expanded it. We've added more support, more structure. We've even added more like IT tech support, just so many things along the way. When we originally launched, it was only a 3-month program. And we had 3 different tiers to the program. We had a very short self-directed 12-week accelerated version. And then we had 2 separate cohorts, one that was labeled as our professional group that we did coach with every week for 3 months. And then we had our elite, and these were the people that we gave all of our Haddon Homes business in a box to. But even at that time, there were still so many other things in our business that we didn't even think to include in that course. And most of the people who spoke to us afterwards, they pretty much said the same thing. Heather and Katrina, this is a great course. There's so much value here. There's way too much to absorb, and there's just not enough time to implement it all.
Yep.
So we ended up expanding the course to 6 months and offering way more support and structure. And even then, we found people are still not able to implement everything. And a lot of it comes down to the fact that Heather's been in the business for 18 years, and she's built a very small but very successful, high-functioning team and does every single thing you can think of in terms of lead generation. We don't just focus on one. We do them all, and we do them extremely well. So what we teach in our course is exactly what is working for real in real estate, not just concepts.
Right.
And because of that, individual agents that come to coach with us, they don't need to utilize every single thing in our course. But then again, people were like, we need more support. We still need more structure. We kind of want to do things on our own now. So that's where you guys came into the fold, where we were like, okay, well, how can we teach people to further automate their business? And how can we give it to them in a structure that is self-directed, but still give them the support? And that's exactly what you guys helped us develop within our system. So you guys gave us this incredible white label product that teaches people how to build robust sales funnels and nurture their leads on autopilot. But then just to like further round all of that out, they get the entire business in a box as an agent that teaches them exactly what is working in the real world to help them generate and close deals every single day.
Yeah. And you touched on something about agents wanting more support. So what we've noticed is with any sort of online coaching or consulting program, any sort of course, digital product, mastermind, I mean you can call it whatever you want. The number one reason why people fail getting their agents results is simply because agents simply just do not implement. And that is a case not just with real estate coaching programs, but that is pretty much an industry-wide sort of problem. Where think about why people buy personal training. I mean, all the information that you need is online. I mean, now we also have access to ChatGPT and so many of these AI tools. we have all the information in the world, but what people really need is accountability. And what people really need is folks like yourself and Heather to come in and sort of put together the information in one spot and condense the information where someone can just act upon it. So, I mean, that is a big thing with, coaching programs, courses, digital products. It's more so all about really just accountability. So, before we, go any further, do you want to give a quick background? Because you mentioned that you joined Heather's team 3 years ago. So,
Mhm.
how did this partnership form? Why did you join Heather? And how did everything sort of come about? Because I do know that Heather is, a top 0.1% agent in Toronto. So how did everything sort of come together? You can also give a background on her, just to give people a little bit more context.
Yeah, of course. So, I've been in the business for 15 years. And I started out very young. My dad is a general contractor and he spent time building houses. And when I was in high school, my dad put me to work. And that's where I learned a lot of my work ethic. My dad was like, "You're coming to build houses with me. You're building fences with me. You're building decks with me." And my mom was a property manager for Brookfield Properties for over 30 years. So real estate is just ingrained in my family. And at the very young age, my parents were like, "Get your real estate license." So I got my license and I got all my business from my parents just referring stuff to me. So I never really had to develop systems. I never had to door knock. I never had to cold call. I never had to do any of that. It was enough to get me by. But over time, I realized, and I think most agents do, is that you can't build a solid foundation just on repeat referral sphere, wondering where your deals are constantly coming from and whether or not you're going to be able to feed yourself at the end of the day. So I have a very close-knit circle of girlfriends, and one of them happens to have been a stager at Heather Haddon's company. And she talked so highly of Heather and how she does things in her business. So I started following her on Instagram, and I watched her for a year. I signed up to her mailing list, so I was getting all of her listings. And I was just loving everything she was doing, from her branding to her staging to even her communications. Like everything was so solid. And I care very much about like the branding across the board, and I just found that she did it extremely well. So anyway, my girlfriends were like, maybe you should go talk to her about joining her team. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm over here doing my own thing. And I had another agent that I was considering partnering up with at my former brokerage. And one day he called me up, and strangely, he was like, "I'm going for an interview with Heather Haddon. You should come." And I was like, "Whoa, this is kind of crazy, but sure, I'll come with you." So I went for an interview with her, and it was like immediately, I have to work with this woman. She's so incredible. Her energy is amazing. And it just seems like there was a lot of alignment there. So weirdly, I took a very long time to join the team. It took me almost 6 months. And part of that was because I was waiting for some other deals with my former brokerage before I moved over. And then it got to the point where I was like, I kind of can't wait anymore. I'm just going to move. So I forfeited like a lot of deals because it was on the pre-construction side. So I just walked away from it to join Heather's team. And I am so grateful that I did, because even before mentoring with her one-on-one and just being on her team, being surrounded by so many incredible people that were functioning at such a high level, like you really are a product of your environment. So if you put yourself in rooms where people are doing more than you, eventually you are going to do more for yourself because that's the environment that you're in. So that's how everything came to be with Heather and I. And then it just snowballed from there. At first, I took on the role of being the ops manager in the organization, as well as being a real estate agent. And Heather was like, "I want you to learn the business from the inside out." So I did. I learned every single thing about how she runs things. And then we launched the coaching program in November of 2023. Now, a little background on Heather is she used to be a teacher. and she went to Queen's University for psychology.
Mhm.
And then she decided she was going to become a realtor, and she did extremely well. For the first 12 years of her career, it was just repeat referral sphere. And then she was like, I need to do something different because she was just plateauing. And then eventually she started doing coaching and exploring online lead generation and working with all these different marketing companies and advertising companies to like build out her brand. And so much has shifted and changed and grown over time to what it is today. Like if you looked at Haddon Homes 5 years ago, you wouldn't even know that it was the same company because we've grown so much since then. But yeah, that's a little background on us.
Got it. And there's a lot of things that I want to sort of touch on with some of the stuff that you mentioned. Um, but first and foremost is I was like right before this call or this interview, I took a look at our CRM. We've been talking to, I believe, Heather since February of 2023. And I think we converted you guys finally. We finally convinced you guys to come work with us, I believe in November of 2024. So it almost took us about a year and a half to really convince you guys to to come work with us. But and that also sort of goes with your story. I mean, it took you about 6 months to go work with Heather. So there's sort of a decision-making cycle there. But more importantly, so you mentioned something about Heather saying that she sort of hit this plateau. And so what was the main reason that she jumped into coaching? What was like the main reason behind you and Heather coming together and deciding on building a coaching program? Because of course, beginners, I mean, there's a lot of different vehicles in real estate. I mean, you can continue selling more houses, but we all sort of know the cons to that. I mean, you get stuck in this sort of transactional cycle. You can go out there and expand your team even further. I mean, you can go start up your own brokerage. I mean, there's so many different vehicles that you can take. So why coaching?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've heard people ask this question to both Heather and I in the past. And although I can't speak for Heather directly, I'll do my best to answer it based off of how she has responded to this question in the past. So for Heather, she was first a teacher. And so she comes from the passion of education and then eventually went into real estate and she's seen so much success in it over the years that she wants to go back to her roots. And Heather firmly believes in collaboration. That's part of the reason we actually joined the current brokerage that we're with. We are with Real, it's a cloud brokerage, and we are constantly collaborating with other agents. If there's support that we need, structure that we need, advice that we need, everyone's always there. And that feeds into like that naturally who Heather is as a person. Heather is not a gatekeeper. She firmly believes in supporting you in any way. Anytime you have a question, she's there to answer it. And because she's gotten to a place in her career where she's able to automate 80% of our business, it frees up her time to do more of what she loves. And Heather's also a mom.
Mhm.
So I don't know if she sees it the same way that I do, but like she's been so inspiring to me as a mentor in this business, getting me to the level that I'm at today, where I don't think I would have been able to achieve it if I didn't have her like constantly there supporting me, guiding me. Um, but part of that, I see it as like her sort of taking me under her wing as like a very nurturing, motherly sort of way. And
Yeah.
I think she does that with a lot of agents. Like even in our coaching program, she's able to like she can really see the person. She
Mhm.
will sit with them for 5 minutes and be like, I know exactly where your pain points are. I see your fears and I know exactly what I can do to help you overcome those things and achieve success in your business. And it's actually wild what she's able to do just in those 5 minutes. And it just comes from a natural passion for wanting to help people and teach them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's sort of like an innate desire to serve others, to help others, especially if you've done what other people are looking to do. I mean, I was reading an article and last year more than 70% of agents did not even close a single deal. And if you
Mhm.
think about the amount of agents that are even in the industry, that is a thousands and thousands. That's over. that's hundreds and thousands of people that have not closed a deal that have a real estate license. So, so the need for education, the need for help is really there. I mean, there's demand for coaching. So, I know you mentioned that you guys brought in 13 clients after working with us. Uh, what does that equate to in a dollar amount? And
So
if you had
we
to,
had 13 people, and we sold some of them on the carpet pull strategy. We sold some of them at full price. So in total, it came out to 67,000 in revenue for the month.
Mhm.
And we did have one person who decided it wasn't the right fit for them. That's totally fine. Sometimes that happens. We try to save them all. But we go through a qualification process during that time frame to determine if, we're all a great fit to work together. And sometimes I find people have a hard time overcoming the technology aspect of it because that's a huge hurdle. A lot of people who come to us for help, I guess it's based off of our marketing and our funnel, but a lot of the agents we attract are people who have been in the business for a long time. These are people who have been in real estate for 15, 20 years, 25 years. Some of them run small teams, some of them run brokerages, which sort of falls in line with our ideal client. So I guess our marketing is doing what it's supposed to do. But a lot of these people are not technologically savvy.
Mm.
And so we find that's the biggest pain point and the biggest hurdle. And how one of the things that we worked on over time is just trying to make the learning curve of onboarding technology to automate their business a lot easier for them. So they're not overwhelmed, wondering like, oh, how do I implement this or how does this connect to that? Yeah, that's been the biggest one for us. But overall, the long and short of it is that that's the revenue we've earned in the month of April.
Awesome. So, and this, so 67,000 in revenue in what sort of time frame? Because I do
One
know,
month.
and how long did it, in 1 month?
1 month.
Got it. And how long did it take you guys to get launched with everything?
Well, so I think you could do it a lot shorter time frame. It took me 5 months, and that's because I'm full-time in real estate, and
Mm.
I'm also a mom. And Heather and I work on several different things. So I think if you were to just dedicate your time solely to rolling out with your system, you could do it in like 2 weeks or even a week, but you have to put your focus
Right,
into it. And there was even a learning curve for me. Like I'm young, I understand technology, but what I don't understand is troubleshooting.
right.
That's where I run into difficulty. So you guys, like Arjun was so helpful. Um, Even when I ran into, issues with my own understanding of things, he was like very quick to respond, like, hey, here's a resource there. Your school community where you have the courses, those
Yeah,
are really helpful, very easy to follow. But yeah, it's a matter of how much time you want to dedicate to it. So
yeah.
I'm actually glad I took a little bit more time.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that was because it was allowing me to process longer term how we could enhance it even after we launched things. Um, and I was able to get support as well from my team side of things on the technical aspect. And we were able to hire some companies to help us enhance some of the things that you provided to us. So, for example, the Facebook ads that we run to put people through our funnel. So we hired a company to help us enhance that, and that made a big difference too.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you mentioned that it took you 5 months to sort of get launched. Typically, we tell our clients that it's going to take about 30 days to get the entire system up and running. And I mean, you yourself, after going through the system, have mentioned that someone can get it up and running within 14 days if they really wanted to, even 7 days. So, and to expand further on the point where you mentioned that you're attracting these teams and brokerages, and for a lot of people, I mean, they want to go after that whale sort of client in a way. So what offer are you sort of putting out there to sort of not just attract the individual agent, the solo agent, but more so go after this team of agents and bring them in together?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I think it just comes from the reputation and experience. So because Heather's been in the industry for 18 years, and she has built a very successful seven-figure business where we're doing 100 to 200 deals a year. And any agent who has access to the IMS service in Toronto, they can see that. And they
Mhm.
can also see our statistics. So, statistically, we sell houses $87,000 more than the average agent and 47% faster than the average agent. Like these are actual stats that you can find for what we do. So, of course, people are going to ask us, what's the secret sauce to what it is that you do? How are you able to be in the top 0.1% of Toronto agents and sell houses statistically faster and for more money? Now we're giving people the secret sauce. We're telling them every single thing that we do in our business, and who's not going to want to have that? And then, of course, Heather's accolades, like on top of what we're able to achieve in real estate, but all the places that she has been appeared, interviews that she's done. Like Heather was on the cover of Forbes magazine as rated as the one of the most like the top 10 female entrepreneurs. So that goes a long way when you start talking about how you're teaching people every single thing that you do in your business. I think that has a massive impact on people's trust in you and your ability to like show them something that is actually applicable and that will actually work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of like you do the thing first. You create an action plan based on the result that you've been able to achieve that other people are looking to achieve. And you've just sort of simplified the sort of like step one, step two, step three, step four, step five, package that together, and you guys are just putting that out to the marketplace and selling the secret sauce. And I mean that is sort of the path. I mean, you learn a skill set, you master the skill set, and in this case, the skill set is selling houses. And I mean, you guys are doing it. I mean, you guys are selling 47% faster, $87,000 above the average price that the average agent is selling. So that is sort of, your USP in a way. So you're essentially selling this set of this information pretty much. So now here's the thing. A lot of people that are possibly watching this interview, maybe they're not selling 100 to 200 deals like, your guys' team. Maybe they're not being featured in front of a Forbes magazine. Could someone like that person still coach? Could they still sort of build a coaching program and possibly do $67,000 online? What would your sort of thoughts be around that?
I think that everybody has their own individual knowledge and skill set that they could put into a course. Absolutely. I think it does take a certain type of person to be able to articulate things that they know. I think some people it's like they know it, but they don't know how to teach it. And what they might be able to do is feed all of their thoughts into an AI or feed all their thoughts to someone else who's able to articulate things better.
Yeah.
And that's kind of exactly the relationship that Heather and I have is Heather is so great at doing the thing. And I'm really great at taking what she does and articulating it into the coaching course. And that's the relationship that we built with each other, where I was like, you have the magic sauce. Let's put it into something that works. And that's exactly what happened. So if you are successful at what you do, even if you're not operating at the same level as we are, like let's say you're in a smaller market, let's say you work in New Brunswick, in
Yep.
Canada, and
Yep.
you just don't have the same volume of deals, but you're still doing things consistently, and you've got great marketing, you've got great staging, you're an independent agent, and you get really great feedback reviews, and people love your services, and you have a machine that's working, of course you can convert that into a coaching course. You got to find what works for you. If you take most people I find who have been in real estate, they have a background that goes beyond real estate. Like they all started somewhere.
Yeah.
Before you hit the record button, I told you my background.
Yeah.
I didn't start in real estate. I was the training and development manager at the Trump Hotel, and I designed their entire training program.
Mhm.
And that's sort of where I get my experience from and how I was able to fold that into developing our seven-figure success blueprint.
Yeah.
So, some people come from all different kinds of backgrounds, and I find that those are the best agents to work in an industry because they're so flexible and malleable. And yeah, I think anybody can if they just, dig down and they find what is the secret sauce that makes them successful, they can turn that into a course.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be something spectacular. Um, it just needs to be different, right? And I mean, every agent had something that is working for them. I mean, even if they're closing a deal a month, I mean, it could be like an open house strategy. It could be a FISBOs, maybe they found a way to tap into the luxury market, maybe something with pre-con, getting into commercial. I mean, there's so many, I mean, like a lead gen social media strategy. It could be so many different things that you can sort of create a course around. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I find the only way you're going to be successful with that is if you have proof that it works.
mm,
That's the biggest thing because we get a lot of those questions, like what makes you guys different? And it's like, well, we're real agents with boots on the ground and we're transacting every single day and we're only teaching you what works. These aren't just concepts. We're not sitting in an office somewhere in San Francisco typing out a coaching course,
yeah,
telling people we think this works. We're actually doing it.
yeah. And I'm glad that you brought that up because whenever we go on social media nowadays, I mean, it's like every other person is making such a big claim and such a big promise that you don't even know who to believe at this point. So sometimes your best marketing is just putting out proof and that's what people are looking for. And I remember I was taking a look at your guys' ads that you guys are running on Facebook and Instagram, which I also want to talk about. Um, you guys are showing a lot of proof when you guys are mentioning stuff like, hey, we've done over $200 million in in real estate transactions. So was that intentional? Have you guys
Yeah.
thought about this? And also talk to me more about your guys' ads and how you guys are getting clients because that sort of taps perfectly into that conversation and your Facebook ad strategy because I know you're using Facebook and Instagram. Also, talk to me about how much you guys are spending and the return that you've been getting as well.
Of course, yeah. So, as you know, we were selling our coaching course on our own before we joined you guys. And during that time, we had a company design some of our ads for us. And the whole strategy behind the structure of the ads was to show social proof, but there's also other elements of an ad that makes it more successful. Pre-2019, people's engagement was based off of the psychology of aesthetics. So if you were looking at Instagram posts, you wanted to see a brand alignment across the board. You wanted to see perfect hair. You wanted to see a filtered face. You wanted to see color schemes matching. Like people really were drawn to that. But then there was this massive shift where people wanted the veil lifted and they wanted to see the real you. They wanted to see the coffee stain on your shirt. They wanted to see your hair messy. They wanted to see the pores on your face. And so we paid attention to that shift in the psychology and the engagement strategy. And part of that is what we folded into our advertising campaign. So we wanted to make sure that we were showing proof of our claims. So showing the actual spreadsheets of the income that we're earning on the closed deals. And then talking about how we were able to find success even in slow markets. The fact that we're not worrying about where our deals are coming from, because these are actual pain points that we have experienced, and we know other agents experience that too. So we wanted to touch on pain points. And then we wanted to touch on the fact that we have a strategy that we've designed and developed over several years that actually works. So we're teaching people what works. And then the visual aspect of it. So it was so important to have the real Heather unfiltered, walking around her house in
Yeah,
the sunshine, like all of those psychological elements are folded into the the components of our ad, and that's what works is
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
and just to expand on that point, so you're talking about the ingredients of a successful Facebook ad to get clients for your coaching program. And just remind me here, I believe you guys put 4K to make back 60K, because I remember you mentioning that on a coaching call, and I was a bit shocked and surprised. So is that number actually true? You guys put 4K into advertising and made back 67 grand?
Yes. So when we first launched the ad, we were only planning on spending $1,500 for the entire month. But then we started to see that it was doing really well, so we doubled our ad spend. And it was actually less than what we told you guys when we went back and looked at the figures. It was 3,100 and hold on, I'm going to pull up the spreadsheet right now and I'll tell you exactly how much we spent. Um,
I mean, I mean, I think this return is better than any other investment opportunity vehicle. I mean, it's beating the stock market by a mile, beating
Yeah,
beating the real estate market. So is this like the best return that you could get with their money? Just spending money on advertising and getting some coaching clients?
I absolutely yes, but you do have to have the right ingredients throughout across the board. I
Hmm.
think, Heather's reputation speaks for itself. I think showing the accolades, showing the proof,
Yeah.
and then even, built throughout the funnel that you guys helped us design. Like, we weren't doing the same volume of deals. Like we know we have an excellent product, but we didn't have the systems to sell it. And that's where you guys are so great at what you do. We don't know how to do that part. We're agents and we know how to sell houses, but you guys know how to sell the products. So yes, we spent $3,190.30 and we closed out the month at 60,500 in profit.
In revenue.
In revenue, yes.
In revenue. Okay. So you guys
Yeah.
spent, okay, so that is on paper a 19x return on your money within 30 days, which is a very high return. Now, of course, uh, you can't just do that by just throwing up an ad on social media. And you talked about, making the ad look supernatural, like you would see Heather in her backyard, pretty much. So I do want to talk more about the ad and the ingredients that go into a successful ad. So,
Mhm.
I mean, on statistically, someone decides within 1.8 seconds if they want to continue watching your video or not. So, with TikTok being one of the biggest platforms today, I mean, that's the sort of content that people want to watch. And I mean, if you take a look at a lot of the Netflix shows nowadays and some of the stuff that people are posting on YouTube, people want to see behind the scenes true raw content. I mean, they really want to be able to connect with the person. Those sort of, corporate style, super high production, super high professional ads are sort of out the window. And that's something that we've also been noticing on the back end as well. So if someone is, looking to record an ad that they want to put out there to get clients for their coaching program, I mean, they can do that at a very cheap cost. I mean, you don't need to spend money on a videographer. You don't need high tech, cameras. You don't need a great quality mic. I mean, you simply have a device, a phone that pretty much everyone has, and I mean, you can just record a banger ad and get the return that you're sort of getting. But um, I remember taking a look at your guys' ads and talk to me about some of the stuff that you guys are intentionally doing in the ad. Because I remember you were mentioning some stuff on the coaching call in terms of purposely having messy hair, purposely looking like you just woke up, and sitting in front of a barbecue. So talk to me about some of the ingredients that go into a successful ad if someone wanted to create an ad targeting other realtors.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Is just being as natural as you can. Like, don't put a filter on it. And I think also not having a script. Like, have your bullet points, have a flow to how you want to lead the conversation, and also talk to the camera as if you're talking to the individual agent. Don't say, hey guys, or hey everyone, because then you're not addressing them. Like the ad is being targeted to one individual person. That one person is sitting in, wherever they're sitting and they're watching that ad. So I think a key component is first addressing them as if you're having a conversation directly with them. And then you lead with this energy like, hey, it's just you and me here. And
Yeah,
then you follow it up with like, are you experiencing these things? Don't worry, I've got you. I've done all of this. And I'm going to teach you how to do all of this so that you're not feeling exactly like this. I've been there. And you show them, like you make them really feel like they can relate to you. I think that's a big part of it too, is like you want to create that connection in a world where we're on social media. Everyone thinks like we're so much more social, we're so much more engaged, but we're not. So break that wall, take away the filters, yeah, take away the perfectly polished appearance, save that stuff for things like this where we're on an interview together. But
yeah.
when you're trying to connect with people on a human level, make that experience feel human.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean because of that, there's a lower barrier to entry for other people to also sort of get into the sort of coaching space and into the attraction space. You also mentioned earlier in the interview that you guys are with Rio. So of course you can build a revenue share network. Is that also something that you guys are doing? And some of the benefits with the coaching program.
Yeah, so we are planning on rolling out that other element to what you have given us access to. I'm just a super busy person and I am not able to implement everything. You guys have so much value with agent attraction. And that was one of the key components that drew us towards you. And I think, you had mentioned this earlier about us taking a long time to come together and onboard. And that was part of it was we were also considering other aspects of our business and where we were headed and how we could all fold together into the mix so that we, accelerated the success altogether. Um, so we were being very strategic about that part. So yes, the short answer to your question is yes, that we will be using it, and we intend on rolling out with it next month.
Mhm.
But that's going to take us some time to get there.
So, is the strategy going to be that you guys are going to uh, bring up the conversation of the current coaching clients to come take a look at the opportunity of joining Rio? Is that sort of the plan, or is that already sort of happening in the background?
It's still in the infancy stages, so we haven't quite decided on what that structure is going to look like.
Hmm. Got it. Okay. And what are some of the other benefits that you guys have seen with, a coaching program? I mean, you guys are spending money on advertising. Is that just in the Toronto market, or are you guys running that Canada-wide?
We're running it Canada-wide, and we're A/B testing in 10 different states in the United States because we do sell our coaching course to North America. So
Mhm.
right now we have 40 agents in our that are actively coaching with us, and they're from everywhere. We have people in our coaching course from Hawaii. We have people that are from Michigan. We have somebody from Colorado. We have people who are in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Nova Scotia, Toronto. Like our coaching members are everywhere.
Got it. And and what other benefit have you guys seen with the advertising? So you guys spend 4K on ads. Is there any other additional benefit apart from, of course, making back that 19x return that you guys, of course, made? Is there any other additional benefit that you guys are seeing, just maybe in your sphere, maybe talking to other agents in your local market, and just overall in general?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is when you show up online, you're reminding people that you do what you do.
Mm.
And we've dived, do like we've dive or dove or whatever the word is. We have gone deeper into the psychology behind different platforms and how you show up and the different groups of people that will respond to you based off of the different platforms. Um, and we've also developed our own social media tool, and that's kind of where all that research came from. But essentially, um, what we have found through our research is that if you're not showing up online to remind people of what you do, they're less inclined to work with you. And we've even found that with our coaching members. Like we have people, like I said, who reach out to us. They've been in the business for 15, 20, sometimes 25 years, and they've never shown their face online. They only have repeat referrals for your clients. And then they start showing up online. And part of that, part of reaching out to us is because they don't understand that aspect of their business and they're seeing a steady decline in their sales. And this is a perfect example. I had a lady who is an agent in Muskoka, and
Mhm.
she used to be very successful. And over the last 7 years, she has seen a steady decline in her revenue, and it's become exponentially worse as time has gone on. And she has seen that most of her client base has shifted over to starting to work with this other agent who's like fairly new, barely been in the business,
Yeah,
but their online presence is impeccable. They hired a company to do all their social media, all their Instagram, all of their Facebook, overhaul their branding, started reaching out to different networks to try and develop strategic partnerships with news outlets to
Mhm.
get their listings on, Blog TO or, Toronto Life Magazine or whatever. Um, and that is a perfect example of the difference between the value of what it means to show up online versus not. Like if you're not showing up online,
Yeah,
then you're just not going to, have the same reach.
yeah,
Um, I had another agent and she only did door knocking and she was very successful.
yeah.
She mined that one area really well. And then she noticed one day that she lost a listing to someone else. And she asked that person, like, how come I lost the listing? They were like, oh, you stopped posting on Instagram, so we thought you weren't in real estate anymore.
Yeah. And that's only gonna happen more and more. And like there's so many smart people out there, but I mean if they're not relaying that information to other people, putting it out there for the rest of the world to see, I mean it's going unrecognized and you're gonna miss a lot of business. So it's sort of like you either adapt or you end up becoming the blockbuster in a way, right? So
Exactly. Yes.
and I mean you were mentioning this earlier too that some people have the information in their head, but they cannot articulate it. And if you cannot do that and you kind of communicate that sort of knowledge to other people, I mean, you're just gonna get left behind. So that is sort of a skill set that you have to sort of develop in today's time. And I know you have to run very soon here. So one thing that I did want to touch on was the time the time involved in building a coaching program. Of course, you guys are a team of two, a business partnership, and of course, you're the last conversation that we had, you were looking into closers, setters, scaling up the sales team, bringing on more team members. What is the time commitment involved in having a sort of coaching program? What does the fulfillment look like? And the course build out. You also touched on the white label as well. So what are you guys doing and the time commitment involved from you or Heather?
That's a great question. So when we first launched, I was working on things full time, trying to train the staff, trying to run the demos, trying to develop our training and development portion side of things so that we could onboard people. So for me, up the entire month of April, it was almost full time. Like I was still doing real estate, but mostly just focusing on the course. And then even in my spare time, but I'm a little bit crazy and I like diving into things very deeply. So someone might not necessarily want to do that, but I was working with the team between 9 to 5, and then I was also diving into things on my own between 6 to 11 o'clock at night, just trying to fix things, set stuff up,
Mhm.
um, working with Heather, trying to develop other products because we're growing. We're not just selling the white label and the seven-figure success blueprint. We're also developing another program specifically for people looking to scale past 7 figures to 8 figures. So there's a lot happening in the background. But let's say, someone is an agent and they've got a small product and they want a partnership with you and they want to sell the white label and just focus on that. They could easily do that with 2 to 3 hours of time out of their day just to check up on the systems, make sure everything works okay. Yeah, they wouldn't have the same level of time commitment. But this we want to really focus on this and grow this very quickly. So we're spending a lot more time on it than the average person would, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, like the system that we teach, I mean, there is gonna be a one-time setup on the front end to get everything launched. But once that is done, it's sort of smooth sailing, what I like to say, and you're sort of managing everything. And you're just finding a constraint, solving it, which then brings up, then you'll find another constraint that you're gonna solve that, and you're just scaling up and there. And for you guys, with the return that you guys are getting, it's just a matter of just doing more of what's working. I remember you came on the coaching call and you were talking about something that you were looking to change or looking to update. And when I thought about that to myself, I'm like, you're getting a 19x return on your money. You're putting $1 in and you're making back $19 within 30 days. I mean, you're not going to get the return sort of anywhere else. So you don't want to touch anything. You just want to keep it running and just make it better and just scale it up. So I know you got to run in 4 minutes. So one last thing is I know you guys took almost a year and a half to be convinced from by our team to jump on to work with us. So what would you sort of say to some of the other agents that are on the fence, possibly about even getting into coaching, building a digital product, or even working with us? So what would your sort of what would you sort of say to those people now that you're 5 months into being launched and getting the success that you're sort of getting right now?
I would say run, don't walk, and sign up with you guys immediately. I I I know that we would not have seen the same success if it wasn't for your systems. Like you guys are the secret sauce. If you have a product and you don't know how to sell it, collaborating with you guys to bring it to the market in the best way possible for things to run smoothly so you can actually free up your time and spend more time doing what you love. I I wish we did it sooner. I really do.